Taiwan residents agree that the U.S. will not come to their aid if China invades, are divided on the threat level. They're essentially debating, will we come save them or will we not? And most believe that we won't, which most of us agree with as well. U.S. defense officials have been sounding the alarm that China could launch an invasion on the self-ruled island on Taiwan by 2027, which you guys know my opinion on that. I think it's BS. And through Taiwanese residents, though they are divided on their concerns over the imminent threat, they are apparent agreement in believing that the U.S. will not come to their aid. You know, it's like, why would they think that when we are basically vaguely saying that we'll sort of help them, kind of, but we aren't going to go against the one China policy? President JB turned heads last year when he said that we would send boots on the ground to counter the forewarned Chinese threat, but the Taiwanese are not convinced. I'm not really sure because, you know, it's always about the interest of that particular moment or a particular time. One Taipei resident by the name of Jerome told Fox News Wednesday, "I think it's always kind of a complicated issue for Americans to think about." Some are looking at the U.S. response to the war in UKR, noting that Washington's refusal to deploy troops to Kiev over concerns it would spark a third world war or prompt a nuclear response from Russia. And of course, if you think about it, it's the same thing. It would be a proxy with us supporting Taiwan against China, and it would be the same outcome. Even though they have less nukes, it doesn't really matter. They have a giant military, and they are definitely not harmless. It says, you see what happened in Europe now? One Taipei resident said in an answer to questions from Fox News whether they thought that U.S. would come to their aid should China attack. That's very clear. Why we should lie to ourselves and say America will come, I don't think so. What do you guys think? Do you think that the U.S. will come to Taiwan's aid? It's an incredibly important and strategic area. Of course, the chips and everything else there, it's a huge deal. We'll talk about this and much, much more. We'll go over the leaks that are happening, of course, all over the place, and more leaks are coming out by the minute and being scrubbed off the internet. But don't worry, they're probably faked, or they're real with fake numbers, or the numbers are real but the document's fake. I don't know. It doesn't look too good. And they also talk about a offensive going into Russia. That's a big deal. Also, we'll talk about, of course, China and Taiwan. We'll talk about everything that's happening right now, including nuclear planes flying all over the place, nuclear doomsday planes. We'll be right back right after this. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. All right, what is going on, guys? It's Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Tonight we're going to cover all sorts of topics, and make sure you go over to marfooglenews.com. If you're new here, you can find a full bibliography of every single article, tweet, video, picture, document we're going to show you here today. And that way you can also find all of the extra goodies we've packed in there. There's all sorts of stuff that's in the overflow on this site. Again, that has all of the stuff that we could not fit into the show, or the stuff that is the stuff that will get you in a bar fight if you talk about at a bar. So make sure to go check that out. There's also tweets, videos, all the things we can't show you because of copyright. So make sure to go check that out, and we'll talk about that briefly at the end. Let's bring in my co-host / internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing?
Hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So, let's go back to this first story real quick. The Taiwan residents essentially think that we're just going to leave them hanging. What would make them think any different right now? I'd love to hear your feedback here in the chat. And by the way, just take a second to welcome some of the great people here. Thank you over on DLive, Major Lee Stoned Johnson. Thank you, Canadian. Thank you, Johnson, for gifting out badges. Shrugs, thank you so much. And of course, Jammer, thank you for renewing your badge as well. I appreciate that. And then we have a lot of great people already in chat. Thank you guys for sharing the show out and sharing it with a friend. Bring somebody new to the next show. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Brian McCann, thank you. Robert Scholes, thank you for the thumbs up. I appreciate that. Let's see here. Cloud Farrell, Scott from OZ. We've got WIS Jen, Bug Nana, and My Blue Sky. What is happening? And nice to see Rip Curl Readiness and CJ Blaze are in the house. So two of my most awesome mods. Again, Aaliyah's down there. We have all the greats down there. I wish we had all of them because they're great people and you would love all of them. But again, make sure to go over to marfooglenews.com/friends. You'll be able to find all of their channels. Some of them are more busy creating now, and that's great. There's some awesome creators in our mods, and they are just producing awesome stuff. So make sure to go check out their channels. And again, that is over at marfooglenews.com/friends. So Dex, do you think they're wrong for thinking that, I wonder how many people they asked though, because I'll give the same criticism I give to the other side about how many people they ask. Watch, they ask like 2 people and they both say, I don't know. I don't think they will. They don't really tell you.
I think there's no more than 3 people mentioned in this article, so it's not a statistical sample by any means, as we heard in the other report we talked about a couple of days ago, another similar scenario in a different country. But at the end of the day, though, given our weird position in which sometimes we say we're going to take care of and support Taiwan, and other times we say, well, we support the one China policy, and we go back and forth all the time. And then I guess when you look at our actions, like what we are or aren't doing to support UKR, on one hand, you could say we're, I think a lot of us would say we're over supporting financially, but then others that would look at it from outside the country are just simply saying, why don't you go in there and take care of the problem? And would you do that for us? And doesn't look like you're doing it for them, so you're not doing it. You probably won't do it for us. So the sentiment can make a lot of sense. At the end of the day, though, I think they do have a lot of money. They do have a large military. They do invest, and hopefully they're going to continue to invest to protect their version of democracy, and stand up for that. And I would like to think that the other free nations that support that would like to back them up should they potentially lose that or be threatened to lose that.
And, as far as the different drills they've done there, they've been telling the citizens there, they've been giving them pamphlets to prepare them for a conflict, which that happened like 8 or 9 months ago. That might have even happened before the invasion. Rich, World Report, says, is this an independent news channel or a social recognition channel, right? So I just want to point out, yes, you are absolutely right. It is both. If you've ever seen any live show with a audience, and again, there's over 1,000 watching, usually we have it around 3,000 to 5,000 on a good day. There are people that are supporting us that are the only people supporting us. So if I didn't say thank you, that would just not be what live streaming is now. In this day and age, most people understand that live streaming, you say hello and it's interactive. So you do talk with your chat. That's normal. If you didn't, that would be a whole different thing. You are on YouTube, and again, streaming now is interactive. So you get to know the people, and I've made friends that I've met through chat and then talked more with, and now I have lifelong friends because of it. All of my mods I ended up meeting in my chat, and I have talked to them for years now, and they know more about me than some of my extended family. So yes, but also, just want to point out, I am thankful of everyone that comes in and supports. If somebody financially supports us, of course we're going to say thank you. I think it would be rude not to. But again, that's how streaming works. If you I guess there's some folks that may not see that. This isn't Fox News. We're not sponsored by Coca-Cola. We don't have a backup crew. There's not 50 people in the background. I'm not wearing a Coca-Cola shirt that's sponsored for $1 million. We are sponsored by you. So, yeah, we try not to make it a PBS special where it's like 45 minutes of pleases and 15 minutes of show, but it has to be. It's a necessary evil because we are news. We're on a platform, on all the platforms where they put Fox News, CNN, MSNBC at the very, very top, and then after 40 pages, you find our stuff. So the only way that we're going to get out there is if you guys share us. So we appreciate that. And again, it's myself, Dex, and all of our volunteer mods. That is the team. So this show, again, you don't have to watch the show. All things on YouTube are voluntary. So if you don't like the way we run it, you can always run your own. That's the great thing about YouTube. It's YouTube. That's the best way I think I could put it. And then let's see here. Okay, and then EMP blamed for an internet wipeout. So, yeah, it was a smaller one, but apparently it was a EMP. It says on Thursday, an electromagnetic pulse EMP was detonated in the 3M stacks within Rush Ree's library, effectively shutting down the internet on River campus. This is the second time an EMP has been blamed for shuttering the internet this semester. It says, quote, "We are working hard to restore the internet on River campus following the most recent incident." Beep Boop, the head of UR's IT emergency response, said in a handwritten statement posted on the doors to Rush Ree's library. Dax, did you catch, though, that they actually named them Beep Boop? Did you catch that?
I did not catch that, but for those of you who don't know, Rush Ree's library is out of it's University of Rochester, so I'm sure there's some comedy to what they do, but at the same time, seeing something like this, I think they said there was a robot that was also being tested at the same time, and they weren't sure if there was some conflict with that, but yeah,
but
some sort of electronics malfunction is causing their internet to go out, and they're trying to blame it on an EMP, not the same type that we talk about that's up in the atmosphere, but a much smaller localized issue.
I just love that the head of the UR's IT emergency response team, their what would you call that? Their name is Beep Boop. That's pretty funny. You probably watches like Red Dwarf or something. The source of the most recent EMP blast is unclear at the time of publication, but the UR Robotics Club is under investigation, according to a source familiar with the ongoing investigations. Think about this. If you are the folks in college, I mean, there's been so many weird, crazy inventions from some of the inventors that have made tech that is now around us that they made in their garage. There's been folks that made, I think there was a kid that made a nuclear reactor. Didn't we cover that a couple years ago where he made a basic nuclear reactor in his garage or something, and they had to go in with like FBI and all sorts of crazy stuff. And it was like a kid. It was something that was extremely dangerous. But if you have folks that have the information able to do this, think about if somebody did this on a bigger scale that wasn't doing it as a prank or wasn't doing it to, prove something, or somebody who wasn't doing it possibly to 20 years now. I was the college student that EMP'd my library and he gets a job from this or something, right? It says, we were just attempting to test the library robot and it started smoking before the internet cut out. The library robot. So maybe somebody has a problem with the robots. Who knows? And it says, and it started smoking before the internet cut out. Sophomore, not a criminal, told the CT. If you can't tell, it's some comedy there. And then Southern California ports shut Friday due to worker shortage, snarling cargo traffic. It says a dock worker shortage at the Los Angeles and Long Beach ports stretched into its second day on Friday, halting cargo traffic at the massive shipping complex while disrupting the local economy and the global supply chain. The shortage comes several months into a protracted labor negotiations between the union that represents West Coast dock workers and the industry group representing maritime shippers, which are hashing out a new contract focused in part on the wages and the role of automation. The old contract expired July 1st. The Pacific Maritime Association, the industry group representing shippers at the negotiating table, said in a statement Friday that the International Longshore and Warehouse Union had taken a concerted action to withhold labor. A majority of the jobs for last night's shift were unfilled, including all jobs for cargo handling equipment operators needed to load and unload cargo. It says that the workers who did not show up were released because there was not a full complement of ILWU members to operate the terminals. ILW officials did not immediately respond, and the LA and Long Beach ports combined to handle nearly 40% of all U.S. imports from Asia, which arrive in giant metal containers aboard vessels that stretch for nearly the length of an Empire State Building. But goods movement has fallen sharply in recent months, allowing the combined ports of New York and New Jersey to intermittently grab number one bragging rights away from Los Angeles. So one thing I think about is all of the different shipping holdbacks that we've had since CV, and some of them, many people accuse them of doing it on purpose, of holding back and doing weird things. Dex, isn't it kind of weird that they're like purposely holding back things like this?
Well, certainly, and we've often seen what happens with those ports, given the events we've been through in the last 3 years. So, something like this does make you be a little on edge. Like it's one thing if it's just a negotiating tactic and it's a couple of days and it's over with. It's another thing if this turns into a long-term event or spreads to multiple ports.
Somebody said that China's cranes are on strike. LOL. Yeah, that if you don't follow the show, there, of course, we covered before that. What was it? 60% or 80% of the cranes have been manufactured in China, and they may have some sort of back end kind of control over them, which is insane. I found out more through somebody a couple days later. They said that most of the software is proprietary that run the cranes, that take everything from China and into our ports, and regular stuff from all over the world, really. It's not just the stuff from China. It's stuff from all over the world that they may have the power to turn off and stop our shipping at any time. That's just crazy that we have so many of our adversaries having this kind of edge over us and have their equipment and proprietary software in such important infrastructure. And then Pope Francis to miss Good Friday procession for the first time since election days after leaving hospital in a health scare. It says Francis is set to miss Good Friday's late night procession for the first time since he elected, and the 86-year-old who was recently hospitalized with a respiratory infection won't preside over Good Friday's late night Way of the Cross event. Vatican said in a statement, instead of presiding over the torchlit procession at the Colosseum, Francis will watch from the hotel where he lives in the Vatican. The Pope will miss the procession due to Rome's cold weather, the Vatican added. Now, this is a little unrelated, but it is. I was just talking to somebody this morning about how the Pope ended up asking all of the churches around the world, worldwide, to send all of the money back to the Holy See or the Holy Church. And it was very, very strange. And they gave everyone a September 30th deadline to get the money back to the main holy, bank. They don't really have branches or anything, but they have these, their money is scattered all over the world. They asked those to come back. The Pope is now sick, and with stuff like this, and he's 86-year-old, we might have a new Pope here pretty soon, which I wonder if you have an opinion on how that could change things up. Obviously, the Catholic Church is one of the most powerful churches in the world, and there's some things that go on there at the very, very, very top. What do you think that could happen if they change? And what do you think happened with that whole moving money to the Holy See? Nobody has been able to explain to me why exactly they did that, other than just because they can. Dex, him being sick, this is a really big deal as far as missing this, I believe, for the first time, right?
Yeah, this is the first time. He was in the hospital and then he was released, and they said he was released so that he could participate in everything. Now he is going to participate in some things. He's just not participating in this one, but it certainly makes you wonder about his health right now and um, how much longer he's going to be with us, just because of the fact that he is getting up there in age. He is dealing with lung issues. I think he has part of one of his lungs has actually been removed or had a problem with. So yeah. And then what happens next? Like every time they change and elect a new pope, things can shift or change, and some call it power, whatever you want. Those shifts can be significant, especially in an organization as large as that one, because it is one of the largest in the world.
1 billion plus strong in the Catholic Church. And then someone asked an autonomous AI to destroy humanity. This is what happened. Dex, do you want to go over what happened here?
Yeah, so they've created another version of AI. This one they're calling Chaos GPT, and they compiled it and they tried to used it to research other things and fill it full of information, but then also ask it, okay, what would you do? How would you destroy humanity and attain immortality and establish global dominance? And it went through a series of things. Now, there's a video that you can go watch if you want to see. They actually documented it all. That's in the article, so go take a look if you want to later. But in short, it basically reached out to people on Twitter trying to establish and create information, as well as try to garner relationships with certain people that it thought it would need to have. It went through this entire litany of things that it was thinking of doing to actually move forward with this whole notion of how would it go about it taking over and empowering itself at a much greater level. Kind of a scary thing. These are some of the stuff that we certainly worry about when it comes to AI. It's not something that we've ever really seen. All we've seen is some of the cool, fun features, like making funny pictures or, having it, write an essay for you or spruce up your resume. But there's another part of this whole AI, especially when you start talking about sentient and whether or not it can start to think for itself and create goals that are ambitions that are beyond what it was programmed to do. And when it gets to that point, and it has vast amounts of access to things like networks and people and being able to communicate with others, or being able to touch manufacturing systems and build stuff, where does it really go from there? It seems like when you put that much power behind the hands of artificial intelligence, the sky's the limit. And when doing that, it's extremely risky and scary.
And as far as AI, you guys all, I've beat up a dead horse talking about how I don't like AI, and I see the positives in the temporary. I see the extremely negatives in the even short term, like a couple years down the road. It is moving so fast. It was just a couple years ago we didn't have this around, and now all of a sudden it is taking over all sorts of things, and people are using it for everything. Heck, CNET published 70 articles using it without people even knowing. They told them after publishing 70 articles using it. If they continue to do so, and if all sorts of places did, I mean, that's writers out of a job. They said that they edited them, obviously, because there's all sorts of weird AI, mistakes that happen, but that's just freaky. This is the kind of stuff that, that worries people. And then we're going to get into the stressful stuff. So if you are easily anxious, I would tune out now. We try to warn you, so then you can't say, oh, you're just scaring people. If you're easily scared, if you don't like scary movies, then I would tune out now. This is the point where it's going to get into the real stuff. My personal belief is we are extremely close to war. We are extremely close. I feel like we are in end times right now. And if somebody says that, people have been trained to go, oh, that person's crazy, or that person's the end is nigh, cardboard crazy. Look at what's happening right now all over the world. Look at what is happening. And by the way, somebody said that the Catholic Church is not so big and so large anymore. I will point this out. My uncle, 2 master's degree, he is Catholic, and recently fully did the process, went through the RCIA to become a full Catholic. He was raised that way, but they didn't accept his old, confirmation and all that stuff. But what he noticed, and he went to 13 or 14 churches before he picked one. What he noticed, out of 14 churches, 12 of the churches had priests that were immigrants. And that's no big deal. But you have to understand that Americans, that they're not even in that position. You have to take a vow of poverty, a vow of humility, and a vow of celibacy. And that's essentially disappearing. You're not finding the people to do that anymore. Culture is changing. Religion is looked down upon. There's, especially the Christian religions, they're being pushed down. It's really, really crazy to see. In my lifetime, so much has changed. But yeah, so we'll talk about all that a little bit later. And then again, make sure to go over and check out Energy if you do want to have a backup supply. Power, this is one of the best ways to do it. The reason why we work with Energy is not only is it one of the best, it is built like a tank, but also these are the most reliable in an SHTF situation. The new Flex Tactical, that is, you can pre-order it. You can get our special discount on and help us at the same time. This one was actually made with the Air Force Research Laboratory. So they directly partnered up with our military to make this unit. It actually has a heater built in to deal with extreme cold temperatures and a reinforced 1,500-pound latches. So these, if you have had a Flex 1500 already, or if you're the person who does tactical everything, definitely this is worth an upgrade. It is really, really amazing. But again, for most people, they're going to go with the Flex 1500, the regular. These are still built like a tank. And with panels, you can get power from the sun. So as long as the sun comes up the next day, even in cloudy and overcast weather, you can be receiving and storing power. That is huge. You can also charge it from the wall or from your car. But the real cool part is that these are stealth. They're silent. They don't make any noise. And they can be modded. Not to mention you don't have to store or buy $5 a gallon gas, which is, of course, flammable and nasty. I've always suggested, though, that people, if you can, down the road, try to get both solar and gas, just because contingencies are a really good thing to have. Go to marfooglenews.com/energy. Make sure to go check out the new UPS uninterrupted power supply rapid charger. That can charge it in less than 2 hours to full, which is pretty awesome. And then, of course, marfooglenews.com/energy. Use that code Marfoogle, and you'll get a special discount and help our channel at the same time. Thank you guys in advance. You won't be sorry. These can be used for everything. I mean, literally, to have power when your lights go out, whether it be a storm or a natural disaster or SHTF full-on end times, this will keep your lights on. So make sure to go check it out. Thank you in advance. And then China announces new sanctions against the U.S. after Taiwan president meets House Speaker. So these are sanctions. They're sanctions, right? It says China has imposed a fresh tranche of sanctions against the U.S. in retaliation against House Speaker Kevin McCarthy's meeting with the Taiwanese president Tsai Ing-wen. The measures announced on Friday apply to Taiwan's de facto ambassador to the U.S., the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library, and the Hudson Institute, a Washington think tank which hosted Miss Tsai in New York and presented her with the Leadership Award. It says, defying repeated threats from Beijing, Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen held talks with Mr. McCarthy at the Reagan Library outside of Los Angeles on Wednesday during a stopover in the U.S. Mr. McCarthy joined a growing list of foreign politicians and officials who have met with Tsai Ing-wen in a show of support for the self-governed island in the face of China's aggression. One thing because I cover these every day, I see the same sort of writing in China's aggression. They always just frame this stuff the same way, no matter who is writing it. And a lot of it comes from because it's a very small amount of writers, and then it's being syndicated and spread over all sorts of different mainstream media. And they all kind of get on the same page because they're basically getting it from the same page. But right now, what my firm belief is that Xi and China is a big part of what is going forward, what is happening to our country, what is happening to our world right now. And they were allowed to become one of the most powerful countries in the world. And that's really hard for some people to admit. They're growing their military. They're growing their monetary abilities, their GDP. They are essentially getting themselves involved in a lot of countries. They are taking notes from the U.S. And of course, if they had their way, they would be number one in the world. It says the Chinese foreign minister on Friday announced that the two organizations were sanctioned from providing a platform and convenience to Taiwan's separatist activities. It said that Chinese institutions were prohibited from having any cooperation or contact with them. So one thing, and this is just part of something, this could not be their response. After their last response with Pelosi was that they encircled the island. Maybe they considered that a bigger deal because Pelosi was on the island, but it just seems crazy to me that they haven't, fully done something huge. We covered yesterday that they have sent aircraft carriers in. They have at least 3 strike groups that are going towards the island. They're going towards the strait, and some think that they're about to cut and stop everything from going through the strait. If they do that, that could lead to a conflict, like really quick. So I don't know if we've seen the actual responses, the full responses to this yet. Dex, what do you think about the sanctions? We called this, by the way, and you called this the other day as well.
Yeah, they're certainly going to do a lot of things. I don't think this is really that big. It's just something that it's one of the, things that can give them some publicity. They're going after, a think tank. They're going after some individuals. They're going after one person who is the de facto, representative to the U.S. With Taiwan, and a diplomat, and they're basically sanctioning these people. Some of them have been sanctioned before, so this is it's probably more of publicity. This is not, as we said last night, what's going to be the quote unquote forceful, as they called it, actions that they're taking. This is not it. This is just one of many of the things they're doing to create a stir around this topic and to let people know that they're not happy.
Yep, and there's more to come. We'll cover it as it comes along. And then real quick, thank you, Marvin Funtime. Thank you for the massive support. As I always say, though, if you do any sort of donation and you are able to, write a message. I know that you can't do it with super stickers, but write a message, say hi, do a shout out or something. I appreciate it. I actually feel like that's why I say the affiliates are a really cool thing, because when you go through affiliates, you're not just giving us money, you're getting something at a discount and helping us at the same time. So I just feel like it's super chats are cool because you can get a message out there and share it with other people or share a positive message. Thank you so much, Marvin Funtime. I appreciate that. And then B-Roll Beast, IBW, and I will let you know what time it is, and find out who keeps your life pleasures available. God bless 111. B-Roll, I don't know what that means. Joseph Newhouse, Arigato. Hey, thank you, Joseph. I appreciate that. And Spartan O Negative says 444. Well, again, don't know exactly what that means either. And then Kenny Crowder says, Adam, Dex, Mods, and Foogle fam, please stay safe. Love your way. Thank you, guys, and I appreciate you supporting tonight. Brandy Buffkin, I think we missed you. It says, Marf, please shout out to Jackie. Congratulate her on her new horse, Opie. Opie, that's awesome. And that's really cool that they got a new horse. And Stephen McMahon, thank you. Veronica Powers, mom of 9, Ilea, Robin H., Debbie Pendleton, and everyone else that supported the last show. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then Israeli medics, 2 killed in Palestinian attack in West Bank. Alleged Palestinian shooting attack in the northern occupied West Bank took the lives of 2 women and seriously wounded another, Israeli medics said. The latest violence after Israeli warplanes struck southern Lebanon in a significant escalation. Israel's Magen David Adom rescue service said that 2 women in their late 20s perished forcefully by the hand of another, and another woman in her 40s was seriously wounded near the settlement of Hamra in the Jordan Valley. It says that the medics said that they pulled the 3 unconscious women out of their car, which had apparently crashed after Palestinians allegedly opened fire at it from a nearby vehicle. So it was like a kind of a drive-by or drive-with, I guess. Israeli military said security forces were searching for the attacker. The Bang Bang event follows months of unusually heightened violence in the occupied West Bank and comes just hours after warplanes struck what the army described as Palestinian militant targets in Lebanon and the Gaza Strip. So there's been a back and forth. There's been a tit for tat, and this is a flashpoint for World War III. Among all of the others that are all buzzing right now, there have been back and forth events that have gone on. This is smaller compared to some of the ones recently, like launching missiles at each other. What people are worried about is, of course, either one of these countries going full out and declaring a full-on war and just going nuts. Israel has said that they would, of course, take out Iran's nuclear facilities, even if the U.S. doesn't help. So people are kind of looking at this imminent thing that's going to happen, according to them. They're going to do something that, on Iran's side, said that it is so serious that they will respond with the full-on everything. Their underground missile silos are going to be emptied, is what they said in other words. And then, Dex, do you want to talk about the next piece, which is the Benjamin Netanyahu?
Yeah, right. So things are just continuing to escalate. I mean, we've been talking about this every day. It seems like a news story. Obviously, the holy time that's happening there across multiple religions in that area, it's rife for conflict. It's rife for escalation. Now the prime minister has mobilized not only the border police, but pulling up reservists. So they're pulling the reservists. I think they said IDF. I think it was also reported that possibly Air Force reservists are being pulled in. So apparently they're scaling up now in response to these escalations. So, keep your eyes on the country, and we'll talk about in just a moment some other things that are going on. But keep your eyes on ME. The ME is getting hot. It's it's always expected to have something around this time. But at the same time, there's a lot of ramped up issues even in itself. I mean, we were just talking about their own conflict and potential civil conflict that they were going to have around their own political stuff that's going on, let alone the distractions that they have and the conflicts that they have with the outside world around them and the rest of the countries in the ME, specifically Iran and what's happening there. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second, but pay attention to what's going on in the ME. We've talked about the fact, obviously, we know what's going on in Europe. We know that it's very contentious right now in the Pacific. And if something kicks off in the Middle East, then we've got 3 completely different locations across the globe where we can have, at any time, can kick off what some would consider the next global conflict.
And it's one of many of the points in the world where it's really getting nuts right now. Breaking news, and this is from the chat, so thank you. Again, this is part of the reason why it's awesome. It is interactive. We will add all of the appropriate information to the website by the end of this show. University of Oklahoma has an active event going on, and everybody knows what we're talking about with that. It says they're in an active Bang Bang event at the Van Vliet Oval. Take immediate action now. Run, hide, fight. Repeat. There is an active situation at the OU Norman campus, so please take safety precautions until the clear has been issued. And again, so that was there is an active event at the Van Fleet. Take immediate action now. Run, hide, fight. That is at the University of Oklahoma. Who knows what we'll find out here? It could be all over Twitter for the next week, depending on who it is. But if you have family that is at the University of Oklahoma, I hope that they are safe. And I hope you can get a hold of them and let them know if they don't know. So this is breaking live right now. That was 13 minutes old. It's most likely in the last 2 hours. So praying for everybody to be safe. And we will update you most likely tomorrow on the kind of everything that comes out of that. All right, and then let's see here. And then we have Muslim world must unite against Israel. Erdogan says to Iran's Rassi. Dex, do you want to cover this one as well? I'm going to switch batteries out real quick.
Yeah. So as I said, things are heating up. So Erdogan, who is the president of Turkey, has basically told his counterpart over in Iran to that they must unite against is. So look, we're talking about another. This is a NATO member suggesting that a adversary of both a lot of the NATO countries, but of both the U.S. and specifically of is, should unite together against is. So talk about fomenting and creating conflict. This kind of stuff is what's gonna happen. And I'm not gonna say who's right or wrong in this. I'm not picking sides on any of this, but the point is things are heating up. Things are heating up just as much there as we've seen them in other locations. So we've said pay attention to the ME when a president suggests this to another country to go against another country. That's getting pretty serious. And I don't know, to what extent they will actually take action on this, but all of this is coming on the heels of everything we just reported, from what happened in the mosque over there, to the rocket attacks, to the military reactions in both the Syria and as well as around the West Bank and others. So all of those things compounded, and then you get the president of Turkey coming out telling the other country, hey, we should unite against them.
Yeah, this is all adding up. I mean, even if you thought just like one or two of these countries is all part of like a smaller plan, think about what the big plan that all of us kind of accept is going on, that most people agree on, that they want everything under one umbrella. So you may be right that it's an entire circus, but does that mean that the overall result that we're all under this one thing? Do you think that that's not going to happen with whatever they're doing right now? Seems to me like it's imminent that that they're going to attempt to get the entire planet under one rule. I mean, it's not what any of us want, but that's what it looks like it's happening right now. Yeah. What do you guys think though? Let me know in the comments. Let's see. Todd Joseph, nice to see you. Jake, currency reset makes the old cash trash. Proof in the U.S. Continental's greenbacks went straight to worthless. I think they have been for a minute. By the way, Rip Curl is here. You guys got to check out his channel. Wages World is here. You got to check out his channel as well. He is coming up on 60,000 subscribers. He does all of the solar events. Thank you, Wages. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate you being here. Solar Monk, what is going on? Marfia, hey. Book of Revelation, I will not conform, Brian McCann. And I see a lot unraveling, says Carol. Let's see. CJ Blaze, thank you again. You guys thank you for being here, CJ. It's been a while. We got to catch up. Annie Oakley, my cash isn't worthless. Better than crypto. I gotta side with you. People are so either they're crypto or they're not. It's kind of funny. And then leaked U.S. battlefield intelligence on UKR is fake, says Kiev. So there's back and forths. I would not say that this is fake. I don't believe it's fake. By the way, this is Kiev saying this. And in that plan, it shows a counteroffensive and an offensive that possibly goes into Russia. There's been these files coming out and all over the Chan and all over Twitter. And as these files have come out, they have admitted to trying to wipe these off of the face of the planet. So this is where we get into the really freaky stuff. So just a pause for a second. Make sure to go over and check out marfooglenews.com/EMP. Affiliates like this help us survive and grow. Go over to marfooglenews.com/EMP to protect your vehicles, your trucks, your motorcycles, ATVs, your homes, your generators against an EMP or even a CME, a Carrington level event from the sun. Carrington level event from the sun will happen at some point. If you have yourself protected, you'll be able to get to where you need to bug out or get to where you need to be to bug in. If you work far from home, it's really smart to do, and it takes about 10 minutes to put on your car. That's marfooglenews.com/EMP. Again, that's really, really easy to get to, marfooglenews.com/EMP. So the leaked U.S. battlefield intelligence, there's more and more coming out as we speak. This is something that is ongoing, and there have been many pieces, but this says that the Pentagon has launched an investigation on how top-secret U.S. battlefield intelligence on UKR was leaked to Russian social media. It says Russian propagandists have gloated over the trove of documents which detail Western help for UKR, but Kiev has dismissed the information as fake. So what's funny is when this comes out to be real, I don't know why people don't see that all sorts of stuff is just downright lies, right? Since the USSR's collapse, Russian intelligence has degraded to the extent that the only way to redeem itself after the Salisbury and 3-day plans is to Photoshop and fake leaks. So what they're saying in this is that these leaks, which have numbers in it, that they're whiteouting the numbers and fudging the numbers to make them better than they really are. What's crazy, though, is if they are real, then essentially it's us admitting that basically Vlad has lost less than 20,000 people in this whole thing, and that UKR is doing absolutely horrible, and it's not going well at all. What do you guys believe? Just take a vote. Do you think that this is possibly real and that Russia is doing far, far better than what they are saying? Press 1 for yes, or 2 for no, or 3 for I don't know. I'd love to see it in the chat. You'll find out more, and you can go along as we cover deeper into this. You'll kind of understand. But if you did watch that show earlier over on Marfoogle News, the short shareable clip, you'll kind of get it. Look at all those ones. That is insanity. So let me see if I can hold on here. Jeez, look at all of those ones. Wow, that's incredible. Wages rolled. You didn't have to do that. Thank you all for lifting my spirit tonight. Really needed it. Foogle fam rocks. Hey, that's awesome. Thank you. And look at that. Yeah, you can see just from the general numbers, the newspapers, they'll do a survey of 3 people and say that's what's going on. You can get hundreds and hundreds of people in this chat, so it's a pretty good mark of at least what our audience thinks. So you're not alone. One good thing about doing that here is that some of these subjects you don't talk about in public, or you can't talk about at work, is like you don't know if people around you are thinking the same thing. Most people are. We're all seeing through the BS. But this gets really a lot worse because so now this piece says Russia is likely behind U.S. military document leak, U.S. officials say. So they're saying that it's basically them behind it. Meanwhile, at the same time this was going on, which I don't have it, I don't think I do have it, in the last 48 hours, there have been 5 nuclear doomsday planes flying all over the place, and that's not it. Anybody that is watching Flight Radar is seeing that there is just absolutely crazy traffic. And if you remember last night's show, everybody was talking about how they were hearing everything above them, that the air traffic has been just going nuts. More often than not, when stuff like this is going down and they're frantically covering up things, when they're scrubbing things off the internet, something bigger is going on. That's just my theory on this. I think something massive is happening right now. And people are not paying attention, at least not, you guys all are, but majority of people are not. They're not going to even know that this happened. They're not going to know any of the stories we talked about because they don't follow it. They purposely don't. They just, they don't, and some people do it because they just can't do it, and I understand that, but right now is when people need to have a basic understanding of world events that are going on. Because right now, people are going to be caught with their pants down when all of this stuff goes down. Russia or pro-Russian elements are likely behind the leak of several classified U.S. military documents posted on social media that offer a partial months-old snapshot of the conflict in UKR, 3 U.S. officials told Reuters on Friday. So they say months old, but there's information coming out right now, and that's being scrubbed, There are people talking about this on Spaces as it comes out, and then it gets wiped. There have been events in the last like 8 hours where they are talking about it, tweeting it, and then the tweet gets deleted in actual Spaces. So they're live talking to each other, and they go, oh my gosh, it's gone. This is what's happening right now. When they are, drastically deleting just whatever they can, when they're going through and talking to companies and saying, delete this, delete this, delete this, that's when you know something bigger is going on. I actually have, I put this in the wrong place here, so let's see here. Let's see. Dex, I don't have, I need the latest New York Times piece on this. That one I do. I can actually get it. Hold on. I'm going to pull up the more recent. It was about 21 minutes before the show. Let's see here.
And while you're pulling that, the prior article with coming out of Kiev and what UKR was saying, they were specifically calling out, and as you said, whiting out numbers. They were specifically calling the numbers in one of the leaked documents as being fake, because the document had come out in one place and said there was 43,500 perished on Russia's side, and UKR was 17,500. But then the numbers that came out after that had flipped it around to being 17,500 for Russia and 71,500 for UKR, and that's specifically what they were calling fake. And the interesting part is both of those are out there. You've got what some are claiming is the original, and some are claiming as the doctored. And a lot of people on Twitter were commenting, a lot of the people that do graphic image analysis were claiming that those images had appeared to be altered or doctored and not being original, at least the ones that had been marked. So we don't really know, and none of us have the experience nor the ability to actually inspect those changes. But this stuff is very fluid right now.
Yeah, as the Google would say, are you sure you want to look this up? The results are changing rapidly. It could be fake news or something. What I find is what they could do is they could wipe the original off and then put a new one, the same one, but then make sure it looks like it's been whited over, and put the same thing that the real one had that wasn't altered. And then they're like, oh, see, this is right there. And you can clearly see. And they'll make it super obvious. If somebody like a state actor, any of these countries, whether it be NK, Iran, Russia, China, if they did a fake, you would not be able to tell it. I don't think that even an expert would be able to say that's been altered as far as like whiting out numbers and switching them. Come on. These are state actors. They have teams, intelligence teams. Even if it's the crappiest country, I bet NK could do something that's better than this. And then you have idiots in media that cover things like Sam Hyde, making a fake ID and saying that, oh, we found this ID at the site of a blown up bridge, and all of media takes and runs with it, and then they realize that it's, Samyot Hyde, it's like stupid events like that make you think, what the hell, are these people just not checking their work? But it does seem, from the people that I have heard on this, some very respected people talking in Spaces and all over the place, they're saying that this is popping up and it is being deleted. There's accounts being temporarily basically disappeared. And then they've come back 20 minutes after they wiped their accounts of these tweets. There's tweets going out and it's all disappearing. And I'd love to show you one, but you can see, they say they're literally admitting to scrubbing the internet of the results. And some of them claim that not only is UKR going in, but NATO is going to help them with this counteroffensive, and they're going to go over Russia's border and start attacking Russian cities. Does that sound great to you guys? If you're pro-conflict, I guess that's great. But if they are going to be headed in there, maybe they are winning. And if they start heading into Russia, then Russia's backed into a corner. If Russia's losing, we know since day one that if they are backed in a corner, that's not good either. There is a lose-lose for either way. If Russia loses, they are a nuclear country. If they win, then they take all of that, right? I guess it depends on how you look at it. Some may think that is a better turnout. But it says a new batch of classified documents that appear to detail American national security secrets from UKR to the Middle East to China. Remember, some of these documents actually show stuff that is relating to China and the Middle East. These are broad things. That's the other thing that I saw today is people are saying that these are not just secrets for the UKR battle. This is secrets for a world war. And what was it yesterday, Dex? Wasn't there didn't we just cover a World War III kind of battle plan that just came out, or it was a basic plan? And that's more believable because they always have contingency plans for World War and things like this all the time. There are whole departments that think tank how it would run and how it would go, and they make contingency plans because if something happened, they have to be ready for it. They have to drill for it. But what do you think about this? They're saying that there's stuff that just keeps coming out.
Well, yeah, and one of these specific areas was about the one of the leaked documents they're claiming says we were building up the forces in UKR to invade with NATO into Vlad's country. So that, and then whatever else is coming out related to Xi, related to the theater, related to the ME, all of that stuff, I guess is going to start to see the light of day if this is out there and it's been leaked and it's been, and the interesting thing is, how did it leak? Where did it come from? There's certain intelligence groups that we share information with, but if this is top secret and probably at the intelligence level, not just stuff that's just floating around in, say, someone's garage next to their Corvette that's just hanging out, for later use. But we're talking, current top secret stuff that they're dealing with. How's it leaking? Like, how did it leak? It doesn't sound like they snuck in and stole the secret documents. It sounds like somebody said, hey, let me share that with you.
Well, and the serious the topic here is, if any of this is true, we are in some pretty big trouble. If NATO is gathering in UKR and about to invade Russia, it might explain, if it was true, hypothetically, this is true, it would explain why Russia is putting defensive measures up on their private residences, putting up all of this anti-missile, and keeping all of their best soldiers for last. It's maybe why they're mobilizing over 1 million soldiers. It's maybe why they're adding 350,000 more, why they're putting mobilization centers, and why in his speeches he's saying that this is way bigger. Maybe he's not going to take all of Europe. Maybe Europe's going to take Russia, and then this turns into where he grabs his allies, and this turns into a world conflict. Right now, just like World War II, we are sending money and gear and gear and money and gear and money and ammo to Europe for a European conflict, and people are not fully supporting it. All it would take is one big event where a bunch of people lose their lives for people to turn their opinion on a dime and support this conflict. If we are there and they're lying and they're actually doing this, that is a very scary thought. Now we'll find out. We'll see what's going on. If this is all out there, and if this does come out there, was it released so that maybe it could be stopped? So if everybody knows, then maybe it won't happen. Or was this leaked so people will know when it does happen that that this was going on all along? Nothing really makes sense right now in the scope of things because everybody is confused on what is actually happening. Deck, go ahead.
Well, the real interesting part about all this is that it does seem to be valid that there are leaked documents, and the fact that the Pentagon is investigating it, and the fact that they've allowed, or someone has anonymously spoken, claiming information about it. So all of those things mean that there's something truthful here. The real question is, will we be able to decipher what is the true portions of these documents? And I'm sure there's some sleuths out there that'll be able to figure out the originals from the altered versions.
And mind you, if there was some real information in this, well, the 5 nuclear doomsday planes flying around all over the country, it makes you think, like, hypothetically, if this stuff was true, maybe it wasn't Russia that leaked it. Maybe it was hackers that leaked it to show Russia that they were about to invade or something. And then the new nuke doomsday planes were up there, and it was because they thought maybe when they found out they would respond or something. Dex, is it
just a crazy thought? What if we leaked it ourselves, and why, and what would be behind that?
to
I don't
escalate?
have the answer, but it's a good question to ask. Like, was it an intentional thing to create something or to foment something?
I don't know. It's freaky to think about. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Let's see here. And yeah. And then we have Belarus deploys tanks to the border with Lithuania. Dex, you want to go over this?
So here we have another setup for what's coming, what potentially would be coming if everybody is putting all of their equipment and lining up their arsenals or heavy equipment, or even worse, their nukes in some areas towards the borders, pointing them towards the other side. There's a reason. There's trenches being dug in certain areas. There's a reason Poland has, gotten a Patriot missile supply system from Germany and put it in place and laid tank measures across their border so that tanks can't come across it without running into those anti-tank devices that are on the ground. These big look like jack-in-the-box things. There's a reason why Finland is now putting in a new or requesting and purchasing a new defense system against missiles for their border, and presumably moving, and we don't know this yet, but we expect to hear it soon, that they will be positioning troops, if they haven't already. They probably did it in advance to prepare for this. But if everybody is getting in position, that's what this looks like. This is one of many of the people that are positioning equipment across the lines from one another.
And remember, 300,000 new NATO troops may be going in. Let's see here. This is from a show a few days ago. Yeah. So what was this? March 19th, 2023. NATO considering deployment of 300,000 troops on the border with Russia. And that's in addition to what is already there. They already have just immense amounts of troops. And then you have, in Finland, we have heard from Fugel Fam Military that they are already starting trenches. That you have not heard on any article yet. And I'm really confident we're going to see that very, very soon. They're going to say they've been digging trenches. And when you see all of this, how do people not question, are we possibly about to be in a massive European world war? We don't want to be vindicated. We don't want this to be correct. I sure hope, and I'm praying that it's not. But I'm preparing like it is, because this is real stuff. When it comes down to it, we have a YouTube channel here, but we're trying to tell you what we really think. And we did before CV, and it happened. You can see the patterns. You can see the money. You can see all of the governments of the world all heading the same direction. And I think it does help for people to tell themselves that it's not going to happen. And maybe you have a belief based on immense research that tells you that it's not happening. And that's okay too. Tell me why it's not going to happen. I would love for you to change my mind, especially on this. I am not so much worried at first. I believe we will know here in the U.S. I don't know about Europe. I don't know how some of the viewers in Europe, I don't know how fast this is going to kick off for you guys, but I know we'll probably have some sort of warning unless it's one big event like a 2001 event or a Hawaii event, Pearl Harbor type thing. That would happen. And I feel like we'll have a little bit more warning here in the U.S., but even what is warning, right? If we have a week in advance, or I'm pretty sure this is lined up to where it is actually going to happen way, way sooner than people think. Because first of all, if things happen, it's going to surprise us. We're going to find out last. Civilians are going to be the last to know. Military groups, what are they doing? They're preparing. The rich and elite, they are getting secondary passports to all sorts of different countries. You think that they're going to these parties with the most in-the-know people in the world and they're getting these secondary golden passports for no reason? You think that they're building shelters under each one of their mansions for no reason? Like, I find if they're that rich, they know people, and if it wasn't going to happen, then they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't spend a dime or build massive billion-dollar underground mansions for no reason. They would save that money or put it into buying something else stupid, buying jets or submarines or something. It feels like we're beating a dead horse here, but you have to understand there's probably new viewers that really don't know this is going on. Like that really, I think there's people that still need to hear it. I still think that there's people that need to get ready. I still know that majority of people, even if they say they are, they have nothing prepared right now. And that's a scary thought. And it also scares me as somebody like, where I am in Washington, you know that most of these folks, if you're talking about this stuff, they're like, you must be a conservative wacko or something. When SHTF does happen, if it really gets bad, I can only imagine all of these people that are not prepared, where do you think they're going to go first? They're going to go to the people that have prepared. And it's going to be a shite show. It's going to be horrid. All of these unprepared, the more people that are prepared, I think the less bad it's going to be. So if everybody prepares, at least in our Fugel fam, we'll be a whole lot better off. And then Russian technicians appear to have sabotaged MiG-29 fighter jets headed for UKR, Slovakia says. Or so they say. It says that Russian technicians appear to have sabotaged MiG-29 fighter jets headed for UKR, Slovakia said. The technicians who were working on a Slovak airbase late 2022 had access to the jets and appear to have damaged some of the parts ahead of their delivery to Kiev, UKR's capital. It says Slovak Defense Minister Jaroslav Nad said that the jets were, quote, able to fly, but that doesn't mean they were also being able of combat. Nad added that the defects in the jets appeared only in those parts accessed by the Russians. Don't know. It says the technicians were hired on a long-term contract to handle major repairs of the Soviet-era jets, the Kiev Independent said. Nad added that UKR had resources to fix the defects and gets the jets fully operational. So don't worry, they fixed it. They have pilots, spare parts, and a company that has worked on MiGs since the Soviet times. And those aren't the most advanced either. They're behind. And then it says Russia officially charges U.S. Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich with spying. So the gentleman, and this caused a huge flurry of a lot of scares around this day because the media put out multiple stories that have already been out for months or if not years, talking about how the U.S. has been telling people in Russia to get out. That was spurred on by this original story of when this journalist was arrested. And this whole thing has spiraled in some ways. It says that Russia Today formally charged Wall Street Journal journalist Evan Gershkovich with espionage after he was detained on Wednesday, March 29th. Russia has today officially charged him with spying. Mr. Gershkovich, which 31, was arrested in Yekaterinburg, Russia's fourth largest city, on March 29th. Russia Today, of course, formally charged of espionage, and he was accused of acting on the instructions of the American side and collecting information constituting a state secret about the activities of one of the enterprises of the Russian military-industrial complex. The Wall Street Journal reporter is widely seen as a victim of repression by Vladimir Putin's regime. He was engaged in legitimate journalism when he was detained by the FSB security service, according to colleagues. If convicted, he faces up to 20 years in jail. But what will probably happen, they're going to try to get this guy back, right? Well, they'll probably be like, oh, well, they had a K-pop backup dancer that was also arrested, and they'll probably trade somebody for her. I don't know. I don't. K-pop backup dancers are really important, especially nowadays. You know, K-pop. But I don't want to predict the future or anything. And it said that Substack writers say Twitter's newsletter ban is bad for business. Dex, do you want to go over this?
So basically, what's happening is people that are posting links on Twitter and I guess potentially even Substack links are not getting as much, I guess, airtime, or they're getting not necessarily downvoted, but they're just not getting as much visibility. And I think they have part of their algorithm. One of the things they do is they don't promote links off the site. They promote pictures on the site. They promote tweets on the site. They promote polls. They promote all the things that stay within Twitter, but they don't highly promote things that take people off of Twitter. But what's interesting is when you combine that with Substack writers, and in particular, in this case, even Matt Taibbi, who was one of the people who talked and worked directly with Elon and others about a big portion of the Twitter files. He's a huge Substack user, and he's even making a comment saying that if they don't fix this, he's probably leaving. So kind of an interesting spin on against, I guess some are saying it's going against the whole notion of free speech on that platform. If you're going to, down promote content that links out versus content that stays in, that can cause a problem. So that's what's going on. That's sort of the story of what's happening here. Of course, we get any chance the media gets to write something bad about Elon, they will. I'm not saying that because I'm pro Elon or against Elon. I don't really care either way, but it's certainly obvious though that any chance they get to write something negative, they will.
I think it's true.
See that all day long. I mean, it's just the headlines alone speak that when you read them without even reading the articles. But this could be in somewhat that vein, but at the same time, it's also a very clear thing. And even when I tweet, I tend not to always include a link if the relevancy can be portrayed in a screenshot or in text, because it won't get promoted as much. That's just sort of the nature of their current algorithm. Hopefully it'll change. But yeah, that's what they do.
Well, and especially Substack, where all of the real truth is Substack. All of the people that got banned off of other platforms are over on Substack. Substack doesn't do that kind of thing to people. All of the master degrees writers are over there. All of the Pulitzer Prize winning writers that have been banned for questioning the narrative are over there. So it completely makes sense, but who knows? Maybe Elon's going to say, hey, now that we know that it's happening, we'll get rid of it. But people, the jury's still out on Elon, whether he's a hero or whether he's in on it or he's just a different side of an evil coin, right? He's very connected with China. His second largest manufacturing, for Tesla is in China. There's his second biggest customer. So he sent them congratulations on some of their CCP, trophies. So there's a lot going on right now. I really, pray that somebody like Elon is really trying to help all of us. Like, as a creator, about this. About the whole links thing. Even in our show, if we push you off to anywhere, it downranks you. It puts you down at the bottom of the barrel because they don't want people to go off the platform. They want you to go onto the platform. So if you have links, say, of another YouTube channel, they're totally cool with that. But if you have links going anywhere else, it's like, oh, well, we'll put them at the bottom of the barrel. So that the ban, I think it's true that that's what's happening, but is it going to be changed? That's totally makes sense, especially Substack. Substack is where all of it's at. That's where all of the stuff during CV, that's where all of it was being put. Some of the best writers in the world are over there now. The doctors, the frontline people, all of them are over there now. Before we move on, I want to remind you guys, if you haven't already, you can go and get yourself 25-year shelf life food at a huge discount. Just wanted to clarify, I think somebody was having an issue with this. You don't need a code for marfugglenews.com/prep. That link is made specifically for us. So the discount is already built into that code. So you don't have to do a code Marfoogle. You don't have to input anything. It is normally $797 for a 3-month supply. It is $200 off with our link. So that means it's under $600. It's $597 after our discount. And you will get 3 months of freeze-dried food that is packed in Mylar bags and then double packed into buckets. You don't have to go with the 3 month, but that is the biggest discount when you go bulk. Just like if you go to Costco and get something in bulk, you get the best deal. That's 3 months of food. That breaks down to, if you have 2 people, that's 45 days of food for 2 people, a month of food for 3, and so on. So this is a really good way, and it is one of the most affordable ways to get bulk food that is freeze-dried, that can last over 2 decades and essentially tastes like it was when it was packed in 2052. That's a huge deal. And it takes up a whole lot less space than, say, non-perishable canned food. It's packed. It's sealed. They take all the moisture out and seal it, and it basically shrinks it down. So if you are also tight on space, this is a good way to go. You don't have to go the 3 month. They have month packs. They have 72-hour kits. They have all sorts of different kits to go get. The reason also we picked this is definitely it is the most affordable way to do it. Some of their competitors can run up to close to $2,000 for a 3-month supply. Now, there are good competitors out there. I actually like a few of their competitors, but it's just so expensive. And especially when most of us, we looked at our baseline was 6 months. 6 months of food through some of the competitors was like $4,000. That is insane. That is a Toyota. That is a nice Toyota. So most people don't have that, especially most of us are working 9-to-5 day jobs. So this is a really good way to do that. And then they have other gadgets too. They have all sorts of other cool survival gadgets. If you're into gadgets, fire starting stuff, all sorts of really cool stuff over there. Emergency radios, water purifiers, life straw type things, and then of course anti-radiation tablets if you're interested in that. Go to marfooglenews.com/prep, and remember, you do not need a code for that. This is one of the few that they don't do the codes. They have a custom link for us, so then you get the discount built in. So that's $200 off with our code, and it helps us. They send us a commission as well, so that way you're financially helping us and you're getting something out of it. All right, and then the phones that detect earthquakes. This is kind of wild. It's pretty cool. It says 50 years since the first mobile phone call, the technology we carry around in our pocket is helping to create the world's biggest earthquake detection system. It says on October 25th, October 2022, a 5.1 magnitude earthquake jolted California's Bay Area. Fortunately, it was more than a violent shake. It says that, but reports say from residents across the region flooded into the United States Geological Survey, USGS, from those who had felt it. There was no damage reported, but the earthquake was significant in another way. Many people in the area received alerts on their phones before the shaking started. This is revolutionary, really. The shake alert, this system that's coming out, this is what I mentioned the other day, that will possibly give you even a couple seconds. If you have a couple seconds to get into a doorway, it means death or life, right? And it says, more crucially still, many of these phones help detect the earthquake in the first place, too. Google has been working with USGS and academics at a number of universities in California to develop an early warning system that alerts users a few seconds before the tremors arrive. It is a brief window of warning, but a few seconds can give somebody enough time to shelter under a table or desk. It can also be enough time to slow trains, stop planes from taking off or landing, and keeping cars from entering. I don't know why they said stop planes from taking off. Sorry, but if I was in a big earthquake, the place I would want to be is a plane taking off, right? Dex, I would rather be like leaving ground and being up in the air where the earthquake doesn't affect anything. But it's pretty trippy to think that there's even possibly a system that will allow us. How does it work though? That's what I don't. It's using data, and it's immediately is it only some
So
people will get the warning, right?
no, so the system they've been building, and this is the one that we've seen, and this one it's all based off of 700 seismometers. Obviously, these are devices that detect the tremors in the ground. So that data has been aggregated and being distributed out to the phones. But what Google is also doing is creating what is considered the world's largest earthquake detection network through the phones themselves, because the phones actually have the onboard accelerometers, and it has enough circuitry potentially in the phone to detect. So they're writing software to try to leverage the fact that all these phones are just sitting out there, and if they start to detect what these seismometers are detecting, then that can be another point of input. So basically, thinking of millions of phones sitting around in California. It's not just 700 seismometers, it's a million plus phones that all have information that might be able to predict or at least tell when the seismic activity is amping up.
Is this a way? How would this be used in a bad way? Can you guys think? Because I'm sorry, knowing that the Oogs is behind it, is there something evil that this could do? Remember, their original motto wasn't it something like "Don't do evil" or something like that?
Yeah, it was something like that. Do no evil, but yeah, that's long gone for
They
them.
got rid of it officially. They were
Yeah,
like,
they
"No,
did.
we're okay with doing evil."
I think I can't think of something right off the top of my head, but the fact of the matter is that this information is coming from your phone. So if it automatically happens and they automatically get access to it, and you don't have the right to block it or deny it, or prevent that from happening, then certainly there's other things that could be done with that data. If that accelerometer information that's being sent could be intercepted or used by another app, they could use that same information to detect movement or detect what your phone may be doing. So there's certainly privacy implications to this, but I would like to believe that when things like this are rolled out, you're given the option to opt out of it or opt into it. But that's just my personal belief. It doesn't necessarily mean that's what they're going to do.
Well, we'll see. It's basically every phone that's on a table. If they all feel something, or that crazy tiny thing that humans couldn't detect, but that accelerometer could, it's saying, "Hey, there's an alert here," and then sends it out. I wonder if there's going to be fake alerts because of a bunch of people at concerts or something. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say it's not. They just talk about accelerometers here, but think about this: it has to know where you are, right? Otherwise, the data is irrelevant. A million phones giving seismic information, but no geolocation is pointless. So the article conveniently leaves that part out. But it does have to do so. Again, if it's one of those things you can't control, you can't opt in or opt out, well, then I guess somebody like the OOG or whoever is getting access to this data would not only have any seismic activity, but would also have the exact geolocation at all times.
And they could say, under the guise of protecting you, they would need it. And who knows, if it works out so well that they'll be able to tell California residents, well, it's a mandatory thing because of how much it helps and how much it could save you. I don't know. I think we might have found the do some evil motive there. Let's see here. Thank you. Thank you, everybody that's still over on DLive Cognitable. Thank you. It's Friday. I know I've had a long week. I worked 56 hours this week, so thank you. That's besides the show, by the way. Thank you, guys, and thank you so much for supporting over there. By Friday, I am just like beat. And then Cognitable, it's Friday, but Sunday is coming. Yes, that's right. Karen Bill, thank you. Majorly Stoned, and Erdogan is Mountain Brohood and Dreams of Caliphate. Erdogan, yeah. Regarding that, the Turkey, the Recep Erdogan. Jammer, your spirit to you, and Kimbria, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And over on YouTube, thank you guys. I appreciate that. Marvin Fun Time again. LOD Will, thank you. Ilea says there's a movie called Run, Hide, Fight. It's about an active bang bang at a high school event. Weird that they included that in the text message. Well, I think maybe the movie about the active event used that because I think that's been a thing like for training. I think it's run, hide, or fight. And they literally tell you during an active event, like if you have to, fight for your life. They've told my kid's school that like they tell you grab a chair and hit them with it if you have to. That's last resort though. So I think that they're basing it on, because I think that's what they're training in the schools right now is run, hide, or fight. And I thought I heard about that at not this latest one, but one of the bigger ones, that was created after one of the huge ones that happened. Thank you for lifting my spirit tonight, Wages World. I'm sorry that you were even down to be lifted in the first place, man. Wages is such a sweet guy. Wages cares about everybody. He's always trying to do. He just he does good things that he doesn't even care that people know about. So that's why he's a good guy. He would rather pass on the good things being done for him to somebody else. So I'll just say that. And then Feathers and Flowers, and he doesn't want people to know about his good deeds. So that's why you should go over and support his channel. And Feathers and Flowers, hello from Maine. Thank you. And thank you so much. And from Maine, I love Maine people. Everybody from Maine I have ever met has been super, super awesome. And then Bible Talk 777 says, no war reporters all over news like normal. Fishy. No war reporters all over the news like normal. Oh, yeah. Like, oh, we're here on the spot. At first, they didn't even embed. That was super fishy. And then Russia's Merchant of Death warns Donald T. that his life is in danger. That's freaky. It says that the Merchant of Death offered DT asylum in Russia this week, saying he believes that the former prez life is in danger if he continues to remain in the United States. In an interview on a Russian state TV channel, Viktor Bout, an international arms dealer made infamous after his betrayal by Nicolas Cage in 2005, Lord of War, told a reporter that he had sent a telegram to T-Man warning him of an imminent threat to his life and urging him to flee to Russia for safety. By the way, the Ayatollah himself actually put on his Twitter a 3D video, a rendered video of this hypothetical scenario where a drone went to Mar-a-Lago. It was a ground drone that had a camera that laser targeted T-Man playing golf. And as he's playing golf, this laser marked him, and then a drone came down and took him out. This was an official video put on his official Twitter, basically threatening. And then at the very end of it, it showed Soleimani's face like on a keychain, says, "We'll always remember," or something like that. That was a direct threat to T-Man, right? There's been more than that. And now with everything going on, do you guys think he's in real danger? I would assume he is anyways. Every president is, right? But do you think this is legit, or do you think that this is not legit, or quit? I don't know. Something clever that rhymes with legit. Dex.
Well, my question is, how did he send him a telegram? We know he doesn't use Telegram, and it wasn't capital T, it was lowercase t. So that would make me think it was like a Western Union telegram, like literally sent him a typed out message from Russia. Then how do you do that? Can I just go in and send a telegram to DT? I mean,
like Steve wearing a MAGA hat.
Yeah.
in Tennessee. Like, what? Yeah, my life is in danger.
200 characters, please. Let's send this to DT. So it's probably for publicity more than anything. Ultimately this guy thinks he's in danger, not because of like what the Ayatollah put out, but more because of what's going on in the courtroom. So he's saying he's in danger because of his own country. And sort of giving him that quote unquote asylum type approach. But it is just really interesting to see somebody from the other side over there sort of chime in. And he's not the only one, by the way. If you guys go look, everybody seems to be jumping on the T-Man bandwagon across the globe, whether they're making fun of it or asking questions or agreeing with it or disagreeing with it. Everybody's got an opinion.
Well, Dex, think about this. If he's making these public appearances, he's waving to people, whatever else, they have put out so much about how there's so much hate just in general. Whether you love the guy or hate the guy, I don't think most of you want to see him perish. There's some of you that do. And I think that that's kind of part of our system and how the media has really just made people to the point where they will break the 10 Commandments and want to see somebody perish because they think he's so nasty and so... I have some sort of alert going on. Hold on, Dex. Old broken phone. That's just so weird. That phone ended up like falling on one of those touchless chargers and turned on out of nowhere yesterday, and then I forgot to turn it off again. But it turned on by itself after 3 years of being like super cracked and broken, like super bad. Just like, yeah, like look at that. Anyways, but you know, with him being in the spot that he is, and he's going to do all these public appearances and speeches, what kind of gets to me is, and how they've pushed like people. There could be somebody who, like CIA acid weaponized, that might be the next what's his face that took out might be the next patsy that takes him out, right? Or brainwashed, or some mind control, that kind of thing. And this kind of thing comes out beforehand, and then they go back to it. And that's just the things I think about. Like, what if this ends up happening? And there's stuff like this. There's articles that came out beforehand. We have seen after people were taken out, they end up pulling and archived stuff out that, oh, there was warnings about this, or they had stuff like this. The biggest threat that I have seen is Iran. They have basically said that because of Soleimani, they're going to take him and everybody else out involved. What do you guys think? Do you think he is in danger, not only from this, but just in everything? Or do you think he's going to be fine? Dex. Yeah, that's a freaky thing to think about.
It is, and the mania continues across the globe. But hopefully it'll slow down in our media, because I'm getting sick of hearing about it. Whether you're for it or against it, it's just nonstop. So,
well, and think about this. So, do you know that many people truly loved JFK when he perished? If some of you were alive for that, you may not if you were born after it and you don't know, but people cried. I know that many family members that I know, when he passed, a lot of people loved him, felt like he was a hero. Back then, the president was somebody, they did stuff a lot differently back then, but whether he was a hero or not, all of the crazy stuff, the mafia stuff, most in our community believe that he was trying to do something good and was probably taken out. He had all this stuff with Marilyn Monroe. Everybody's got a different theory, right? But when he perished, everybody cried. Imagine with the following that Trump has, if he was taken out, it would be nuts. I think I think it would cause a civil conflict. Do you? I don't know. He's got one of the most hardcore followings of any human being on earth right now. I think it would get real nuts real fast. Dex.
Well, you heard Bobby's son.
One sec. There we go.
Speaking of Kennedys, you heard of Bobby's son, RFK Jr. He's in the running now, going against JB.
Huh. Well, the entire family has been, they have the Kennedy curse, right? So that's kind of trippy. And then T-Rex says, yes, indeed, it was already done it in many countries. President JB has already had multiple strokes, head injury. Jodit, Danish girl. Raquel R. Please don't even say it out loud. People are nutty. It sounded like, yeah, I know. Isn't that, I get what you're saying. Like, don't even suggest it. People are just nuts. JFK was taken out for trying to end the Fed. Yeah, exactly. Or, and doing all, I mean, there's so many different theories, by the way. I actually more believe that one. And then the mafia stuff, there's just so many weird things that were there. That could be a whole show on its own. All right, well, we can talk about that on the next show. Dex, were we able to find out? Did anybody? I didn't want to make. I made sure to say it on the last short. Was there anybody that did a super chat during the Marfoogle News short? I don't know if we ended up figuring that out or not. I didn't want to I wanted to make sure I didn't miss him during the show. If we can find that out before the outro, that would be very, very good. And then let's see here. Let's go over the web only. We've got lots of crazy, crazy stuff going on here.
Okay. Yes, there are, and let me do the web. Let me go through web only. So head over to marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for the show, and you will go to the web page that has all of the bibliography, all of the links that we just talked about. So you get all that news. Get to that yellow bar. It's called Overflow. And if you're on YouTube or Rumble, just open up the description, click on the show notes link. Matter of fact, you'll find any link that we talk about. It's typically right there. It's easy to get to. So it'll take you right here. You get to the rest of the story. Of course, we do have the coverage around what's been going on in the political spectrum. There's some crazy stuff going on in Tennessee that's going to getting a lot of attention. So if you want to learn more about that, it's there. There's also going to be some of the links that we talked about on the news short. So if you did not see that short, definitely go check it out. It's over on Marfoogle News on YouTube, on our sister channel, covering the nukes and what's going on. And one of the most interesting things on there is about the who's paying for about half of Vlad's nuclear ambitions. It's us. So if you want to know more about that, it's on the website too. Make sure to go check it out. In the elite sector, Bezos is halting construction on his mega mansion. Branson is losing his space dreams, and of course, Twitter always seems to be getting slapped around. Elon does. That news is there. There's some interesting stuff going on in the medical space. Of course, the entire spectrum around UKR and what's been going on there. We've got much more coverage. A lot of the different articles that are out there. So if you want to know what's happening, that's all there. And some other things that are happening around the globe as far as some of the food stuff that's going on, the potential blockade around grain in Poland, all of that and so much more. It's all right there on the website. It's the rest of the story, so to speak. So if you want to see it, we put it together for you every night right there. Just go to marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for the show, or open up that show notes link that's in the description. It'll take you right here.
By the way, the construction halted on Jeff Bezos' mega mansion as net worth drops by $57 billion. I'm sorry, but the guy's worth so much more than that. And the mansion, which to any of us is just insane at $165 million. But if his expansion is $5 million, $10 million, $15 million, you really think he's going to do that because he lost money? No, that's kind of weird to me. He's not going to stop an expansion. He knows he's going to grow more, whatever else. Even though I guess he might not have all of that money on, obviously it's mostly in stocks or something. I don't believe that though. I don't believe he's stopping. Is something else going on there? Maybe look at that and let me know in the comments down below. Lots of great stuff. Thank you, Dex. I appreciate your service tonight.
Much love. Great job, brother.
Thank you, Baron Saturday, Yuri, No Fear. Thank you, Monk Me, I Captain, Smelly Dogs. By the way, if there's some people that are on both sides of the T-Man thing, I would hope that people here have figured out by now. I would love if our chat, if there's people that absolutely hate him and absolutely love him, could talk and then not only that, become friends. I've talked about many times. I even have a family member that they went painting with their friends. My aunt went painting with friends for 40 plus years. Every single year they would go to a bed and breakfast before, something like that. And for 40 years they went painting. And after T-Man after they basically told their friends that they voted for T-Man, they have not spoke since. all 3 of her biggest friends, like years long, have not talked to her, which I just think is absolutely the most insane thing ever, that would cause a rift on a 40-year, 4-decade relationship. And you guys know, because you've probably seen it. And whether it's on the other end of it, if you haven't talked to somebody because they did, try to put him in, why? That's crazy. And you should, I hope eventually in your heart that you find, whatever you can to go talk to that person again, because that's not worth it. When we, the next time you might see him is at a funeral. So I hope you guys have a good night. Love you guys. Dex, go ahead.
I took a screenshot of what you were looking for. There's a link to it in Screener.
Let's see. Okay. Thank you so much. So now, again, thank you all the mods. CJ Blaze, thank you for making it tonight. I appreciate you. Thank you. Let's see here. A couple of people on the news short. Thank you so much. Adrian Maldonado. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for your support earlier on our short. And then Lord McCormick, you're breaking my heart with your love, family. I've now no words. Now, Lord McCormick, I believe I saw sort of part of it, but everybody was giving you love. So that was really awesome to see. Jenna B, just want to say hi. So hi, LOLs. And then Michael Officiamansisk, thank you so much. Lord McCormick, 50th on the 12th of April, going to rehab on the 14th. Not related to current affairs, but 6 weeks without my boys will be hard for me and them. Please pray for success. I'm drinking myself to death. I'm sorry to even ask. Lord McCormick, we're all behind you here. And I hope that Tommy over on the Lifeboat, I hope you're going over to his channel as well. And I wish you the best of luck in rehab. Having half of my family die because of not only alcohol, everything else. I'm fully praying for you, and in Jesus' name, I hope you are healed, man. And then Adrian Maldonado, thank you so much, and I appreciate you. Lord McCormick, again, thank you. And then Kenny Crowder, good evening. Adam Dex Mods and Foogle fam, hope you're doing well. Stay safe. Love your way. Lord McCormick, thank you. Love you, man. And have a good night, guys. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. It's not time for an outro. It's not time for a shout out. It's time for a shoutro. I say, oh no, in the back with the Marvin fun time. Hey, LOLOD on the wheel. I see we running. I say, Bono on the back with the wages. On the wages, we're on the wing, on the back with the bad night. In the head, I got no, a spot no negative and candy. A crowd outer. Bring it on the high, bring it on the low, bring it on the high, don't know. Bring it on the high, bring it on the low, bring it on the high, don't know. Bring it on the high, bring it on the low. All right, let's make a fresh one. Tonight's new one will be for Marvin Fun Time. The shoutro is where I say thank you to the people that matter most and the top supporters of the show. You guys are what makes the show keep going round. Marvin, Marvin, Marvin. Marvin, Marvin, Marvin. 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 Marvin.
A fun time. I said a fun time on a one time. I said a fun time on a one time. A fun time on a one time. I said a fun time on a one time. Oh, wedges road in the alley. I see ya. I'll be real beast in a IB. I'll be the one bad mama jammer waiting on the way on the way with the ferries on the Venus. Carry on the park on a Fraser. Yeah, I'm gonna go down with a brand new buff getting missed dog.